All right, well, let's deconstruct the French president's speech and its implications now. Joining me from Brussels tonight is Kristine Berzina, an expert in transatlantic ties and the NATO alliance from the German Marshall Fund. Welcome to you, Kristine. Now, this speech seemed to be a show of force from Macron, an effort to put himself at the centre of a united EU, using French military clout to make his point. Would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely. So this is a really big show of leadership from France on European security. On the one hand, this is a domestic performance. President Macron here is speaking to a graduating class of military officers. This is a speech that is a tradition for French presidents. Every French president, once within their mandate, gives a speech on the nuclear deterrence. And so it was a very long-awaited speech and a view of leadership. At the same time, it's a speech that is coming a week after the Great Britain leaves the European Union, and at a moment in which France is the strongest military power left in the EU. So it's really a moment for France to shine. It's a moment for President Macron to show his vision for France as a military power, as a global power, as a security power, and how that relates to Europe at large.
You know, talking about that international vision and that message that Macron wants to project, something that strikes me is that, you know, we know that Macron has refused to place the French nuclear deterrent under EU or NATO command, but at the same time, he is calling for a coordinated European plan. I mean, couldn't that be a bad look?
I think this is an interesting step in the direction of a more European French defense policy. What we've seen since President Macron became president is that he is calling for more European defense, a plan that is French-led, that is perhaps different from something started in Brussels, different from something under NATO. If he is making France be more European, he needs to start with small steps, because France has been very unique in making sure the nuclear deterrent is a French deterrent that contributes to broader NATO deterrence and defense, but is a French thing. To change this long-standing policy, it would be very shocking for him to do it in one speech today, but instead to start saying that we need strategic dialogue with other European partners who are interested in having this. This could be the beginning of a tilt for European defense and for France to be an actor in charge of broader European priorities. And again, that would mean a great deal of evolution. And so, yes, maybe it's not earth-shattering what he has said today, and it isn't a full vision. But also, I think it's important to realize the implications of such a change in the strategic culture of France. And for that audience there, for the French military, signals of some kind of evolving situation already is a pretty big deal.
Right, so you talk about that kind of evolving tilt, that little by little step there from Macron. And I'm wondering, where did that idea come from? How is it germinating? Is this about Brexit and the fact that the other nuclear nation is now out of the bloc? Or is this about, as well, the fact that Washington, it seems to be set on retreating from the multilateral stage?
There are many reasons here for France to have this view. One of the visions is the question of the United States. Currently, Europe is under the American nuclear umbrella. The United States has not been as easy to work with under the Trump administration as it has in the past. And so you see a call in Europe to have more autonomy. In particular, France has been calling for more autonomy in its operations militarily. So there's a response to some frustrations with the U.S. At the same time, the U.S. has been calling for Europe to have more abilities to act on its own. So it's not necessarily in opposition to the U.S., but it is a need to build up capabilities, much as the U.S. has. So yes, it's a response to the U.S. I mean, it is absolutely a response to Brexit. It's a response to the fact that France sees itself as having a true opportunity to lead Europe on these issues. The other major member state, Germany, is much more skeptical about nuclear weapons, has fewer military capabilities, isn't on the Security Council at the UN. And so you have an opportunity for France to shine. So it's a response to Brexit because the UK isn't slowing France down right now on the European stage. And it's also a response broadly to the sense of threat that is coming globally. Within the speech, yes, it's about nuclear deterrence, but it's also about the major global challenges that are coming up. And China, for example, is a nuclear power. We have an unresolved situation with Russia. And President Macron is very eager to start to chip away at all of these challenges and to make some progress. And so, again, this is a vision that responds to a global set of challenges and really alluded to some of these very big transitions, not just nuclear policy. And that is why we see him trying to lead these issues.
I'm glad you mentioned Russia, because he also stressed the importance of restoring trust there. What do you think he concretely might have in mind?
It's a very interesting way to say that we need to restore trust with Russia. Russia also needs Europe to trust it more. So very much I believe that the ball is in Russia's court in restoring trust. But this is really part of a broader rhetoric that President Macron has had starting in August with a speech to all of his ambassadors about the need for closer and different ties with Russia. So President Macron has been traveling around Europe trying to get the partners on board in order to try to change the relations with Russia. President Macron sees Russia as an integral part of European security and needs a better situation on the eastern side so he can deal with other world issues. Yes, so this is a priority for him, and perhaps a tough nuclear stance is a stick that would allow him to extend a carrot to Russia in other ways. And I think that if you are in Moscow, this is something you'd be looking for.
All right, Kristine Berzina, Senior Fellow at the Alliance for Securing Democracy. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.